But in a sense, if you look at if you look at boards, right? Just the boards of companies, majority is white males. But that's in a sense, it's like they've been with the company for 25, 26 plus years. That's just how it's been. But in a sense, it's like you're saying like women have the opportunity, but it's not yet. You know what I mean? There's still things that being like women are the first to do something.
Men control the wealth and men are on boards. Well, let's also talk about men also die at higher rates.
They do.
Men also are the majority of poor people. Men are also the majority of mentally retarded people. Men are also the majority of degenerates, alcoholics, criminals, etc. So if you're going to look at the good side, right? Fantastic. We can look at the good side of the top performing men. We also have to look at the bad side.
Of course.
Men also suffer way more than women do in general.
Of course.
But the problem is that women tend to look at the successful men that are the 1%. They don't look at all the other guys that are at the bottom that are the ones that are suffering.
Of course. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I know men, typically commit suicide like the more than women. It's a hard world for men. There's so many things that they challenge and they face, and they have to live up to these certain societal standards. But I'm just saying, in a sense,
and also
it's like,
female choice as well. Women choose to not go into certain career fields, and women choose to not work as many hours and work as many. If they take more vacation, this is all statistically proven too. Why women earn less in general, and why women aren't in positions of power a lot of times. I would argue if women really tried hard and wanted to get in positions of power, they would have a higher likelihood of doing so than men, thanks to affirmative action, thanks to the gynocentric society that we're in nowadays. Like, women have more opportunities than men do nowadays.
So
easily.
You knowing this, why do you want to be like a man so bad?
I don't.
So then why are you arguing for this point?
I'm just saying, in a sense, it's like,
bruh.
I'm just saying, in a sense, it's like, the only thing that bothered me what he said was that women aren't competitive as men. But I'm just saying, in our history, it's always been a patriarchy. I mean, men have always had complete control. There's used to be times where women
patriarchies have existed, but what happened?
But I'm saying, in a sense, like it was like 57 years ago when a woman could have a bank account. So I'm just saying, in a sense, that's my
How does
main
that affect
fact.
women now?
But I'm saying he's saying there's no woman in power. There's not a woman in power.
I mean, we have Kamala who got ahead by giving head.
I need to. I mean, that's your honest opinion.
No, that's a fact.
Sure.
But like, I'm just saying, in a sense, with where your statement said, that's why I was like, like women have been oppressed.
You know what I mean? They've been oppressed, but I'm saying nowadays women don't have those chains on them, and I would argue that we've overcorrected where women have more opportunities, rights, and privileges than men do, and they enjoy more of them because women are able to be treated as equal citizens while simultaneously enjoying the benefits of being a lady. So, and they get female privileges that men don't get. But going back to what you're saying, I think that, we always talk about successful men, guys run the boards, the top wealth is controlled by men, blah, blah, blah. But we also don't talk about all the guys at the bottom that are degenerates, bums, etc., that are invisible.
Yeah.
So the good comes with the bad. You're always going to have, like, men, right? We typically tend to operate on like the ends of the bell curves. Like the most geniuses, exceptional people, they're men. But all the losers are also majority men.
But can I say something? Because I've taken like a lot of technical database classes, SQL classes. I was always the only woman in that class. In a sense, it's like, okay, like this has not been a thing.
Stop. So you chose to be there, right?
Yeah, of course. But
where are your female peers?
But
they chose to not be there.
It's a choice.
Can I like finish?
But I got to make that distinction, though.
No, of course. But I'm saying, in a sense, it's a male-dominated field. In a sense, where there's a company now that has women in STEM. That's been a big thing. It was in college. But I'm saying I had to go to like not conventions, but it's like empowerment of women, not in just STEM, but in anything.
Well, let me ask you a question. Are you aware that 3/4 of college students nowadays are female, and most graduates are female?
Yeah, but they've been announced.
No, it's not just a hold on. That's a very important fact.
Yeah, of course.
Explain to me how women dominate college attendance, yet they're the minority in the job fields that are important for infrastructure.
Did you know that when most women go to a job interview, they're offered less, while a man is offered more?
There's a multitude of reasons for that.
But no, I'm saying men will bargain a price. But I'm just saying, in a sense, as a woman who had to do it, this is just my own personal experience. Going into a field where it's mostly male dominated, you are not respected. Like nobody takes you seriously.
So that's welcome.
But I'm just saying that's my own personal experience.
Welcome to being a man. Because when you're a man and you get into a job brand new, you're going to get bullied, you're going to get made fun of, you're going to get shit on, you're going to get hazed, etc. So you might not get respected as a lady to a degree because you're a woman, so you got to prove yourself. But men have to as well, and men get hazed way harder than women do.
Yeah,
of course. I feel like you're not understanding my point.
I'm understanding your point completely. But what I'm saying is that How is it that women dominate college attendance, women graduate at a higher rate, yet they still are they're still a minority in higher education when it comes to certain fields? My argument isn't that women are oppressed. My argument is that women simply don't want to do these jobs and choose not to do them because they're hard and they don't go to female strengths, which is what? Deductive problem solving. You got to remember, just because you do it doesn't necessarily
mean everyone else does it.
Yeah.
And I understand that. Like, my
You're
thing is,
clearly an exception to the rule.
but I'm just saying, my thing is, like, we go out and we try to, like, educate that it's just not for men. You know what I mean? Because I feel like those fields have always been like, oh, this is what, like, you know, you go into nursing. Because when I was a kid, everyone was like, you know, you go into nursing, you go into, you know, what women do. You know what I mean? Because when you grow up, you're like, women like pink, men like blue. So in a sense, it's like that was kind of ingrained in me in growing in society. But I'm saying as I got older and I opened my mind more, it's like, hey, like, you know, I can do this. This is not something that I need to lift or anything, but it's just something, it's a coding language. You're learning it.
It's ultimately choice. You know how many men are hairdressers today? They do women's hair because they made a choice.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it's a choice. And as well, you know what's happening to you? Victim mindset. You're saying, oh, what? I'm a woman. They should treat me this way. No. You got to prove yourself.
Yeah, of course. I
Man
feel
or
you have to prove yourself anyways. Like, I'm not saying, and I'm saying in a sense, it's, I feel like for me, I'm saying per my personal experience, it was a kind of an intimidation factor to walk into a class of what, 70, 80 people and you're the only girl. It's intimidating.
Is that in your mind or is that?
But I'm saying this is my personal experience. So that is my mind.
Right.
But I'm just saying in a sense where I joined, like, you know, organizations where you have like CEOs, you have CIOs going to talk to people and be like, hey, this is something that everyone should be welcome to
Earlier in
do.
the show, I said how you feel versus what's real are two different things. Just because you walk into a room and you feel intimidated doesn't necessarily mean that you're about to be oppressed.
So
of course, I'm not saying that I was.
I did tech, right? We did computer science. There's only one black girl in that group, right? She said to herself, you know what? Damn, I'm the only girl in here. I'm gonna own it. She came up to the class, first to raise her hand, always made sure that she was heard in that class. Because you know what? She knows as a woman, she had to prove a point. So you took it the other way.
No, I'm not saying that I didn't go and do that. I'm saying when you first walk in, especially this was like my freshman year of school, it's first class. You walk in, you're so used to having mixed classes, and then you sit there and you're like, okay, well, you know, it's shocking. But it's like I had a female teacher in that class. So it was like, okay, like I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna show like I can do what I need to do and be great at it. But I'm just saying in a sense where like I'm just going off of what that one sentence that you just said. That's all.
Which is what, men are better leaders?
Yeah, in society.
That's a fact.